everybody. I am Jessica Koch, and this is Profound Professionals. And I am super excited to have some amazing guests on today. We are going to start with Tina Bakehouse. And let me just tell you, she is protecting audiences from boring speakers and speeches. I love that. We need this kind of protection. This is super important. She supports heart-centered leaders to share messages that make positive impacts in the world. And that is the whole concept of why Profound Professionals came to be, to have leaders that were making a really unique impact on their industries, that were affecting the world, and also thought outside themselves with their cause. So share with us, Tina, a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Jessica. I'm Tina Bakehouse, and I absolutely believe that the world needs effective communication, and your audience has two choices. They can choose to tune you out or they can listen. So all communication is persuasive. And so ever since a little girl, I was inspired by Jim Henson and Walt Disney, these creatives, and love good story and the beauty that oration can bring to the world, whether it is on a stage, but really everything is a stage. So the boardroom can be a stage with your team, or at a networking event, one-on-one with a potential new client, or just someone to come into your network. All communication matters. And so I do work with these heart-centered leaders, whether they want to craft a TEDx or a keynote speech, or just get better at their abstract vision and being able to put that in a clear, concrete, passionate message to their teams. And I do this through my magnetic speaker blueprint consulting and coaching programs, 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month, as well as facilitate wonderful workshops here at the farm with goats. You can learn a lot from a goat, as well as webinars and workshops. So I have this beautiful hybrid experience of on-farm, in person, but online as well.
That is awesome. Goats. How did you come to be on the farm? I think it's fun to do something personal.
I met my husband's salsa dance lessons, and I thought I would never get married. I was a traveler, and somehow he shows up to be a wingman for his buddy who was dating my friend at the time. We met at salsa dance lessons, got to talking, found out he was a farmer. And I thought, well, this is interesting. So I moved from the city to a farm that the closest grocery store is 17.5 miles away. And literally the closest town with a population of 150 people is 4 miles away. So I'm truly in rural Iowa. And I found very quickly that this space is very beautiful. I love nature and I love sharing it with people. So I thought during the pandemic, why not jump out of the plane? I'm in Act 3 of my life, and share this amazing space with leaders so that they can find their authentic speaker style and speak from here. We get very heady, but speak from here.
That's true. We do. We do. So what I really love about these intensive sessions that we do together, they're very compressed and we're sharing a lot of information in a short amount of time, is giving the audience something really actionable that they can take away and apply within the next day, week, or really focus on for their goals in the upcoming quarter. So could you share with us some tips or some action steps, something we could really do that will make a difference?
Absolutely. So being a magnetic speaker requires being self-aware, and it also requires audience centeredness. So think of it this way: the context creates the content. So when you go into a speaking situation, a communicative event, ask yourself, first of all, who's my audience? What do they need to know? And what do they need to do with this information? And how could I evoke a certain emotion? And from there, then ask, what is the context for which I'm speaking? Is it formal? The more people in the experience, like if you're on stage, it's a very formal experience, the more decorum you have to bring to the table with preparation. Or is it a lot less formal with a networking event? Or is it internal at your organization within a team, or with one-on-one communication, or with a potential client? So what does that context require? and expect. And then the last of this is, what is the desired outcome? And when you think of that with each communication, if you can be intentional, there's this idea of segment intention. It's by Abraham Hicks, where she is this intuitive, and she talks about, like, don't just dive into something. Take that few minutes beforehand and say, what is my intention? And so I, surprisingly, as a speaking consultant, I get a little nervous with networking because I'm highly sensitive. I tune into so much energy. And so I call it find the Dale in the room. And what that means to me, I went to this horse farm and had a beautiful experience where I got to select a horse and spend time with this horse named Dale. And I really shared and figured out that when I'm with animals, it's just easy for me to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find the Dale in the room, and I set the intention for these loud, big, noisy, but highly energetic networking events to find that Dale. And that is, I will meet one or two people and really be interested in them and tune into who am I being. And if you can turn into the essence of who you are and trust yourself, because really all communication comes from the heart and from trust, you will definitely have a clear, beautiful communication. For every communication is a co-creation. And if you want to dance in that conversation, like I did with my husband at salsa, there's a lead and a follow, a lead and a follow. And if you allow yourself to be fully present with that person, not distracted, not in your head and thinking about the future, and tune into that context, tune into that audience, you will make an impact and you will see a relationship established. So tomorrow, when you are looking at your calendar, make an intention. Ask yourself for that next virtual one-on-one, who am I being? How can I be in my being? I always set a good 5-10 minutes before every meeting so I can just really center myself, be with my client or be with that person. Because if all people want is to be seen, heard, and understood, and if we can do that, it's even more effective.
Yeah, I think that's the best communication tip, is to really make an effort to be present in the conversation and intently be interested and care and listen. I really, really love that.
And magnetic speakers are expert listeners, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I have 1,000,000% agree with you. So before we go in and start sharing a bit about the cause that you love, I just wanted to hop into your website and give everyone a quick sneak peek. We want to make sure that you're checking out her site. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun. I love the true or false pieces here, and I love the TEDx stuff. So she has a lot to offer here. Come and check her out. Now,
TinaBakehouse.com. Yes, check it out. Get that freebie with some tips of how to communicate more effectively.
Absolutely. So can you share with us that cause that lights up your heart?
Oh, this makes me so emotional, actually. It's IHSSA, Iowa High School Speech Association. And a year ago, I was actually invited to do a keynote for all the statewide speech coaches. And it just warmed my heart because I was an Iowa high school speech competitor. I was a coach and I judged for 20 years. And then I got selected by the state of Iowa a couple of years to be what they call a guest critic, to get to give feedback to the best of the best. And so what I love about IHSSA is that they really believe in teaching the skill of effective communication by giving that feedback and teaching them creativity and how to communicate and connect, because that is a skill. And we call it a soft skill, but it's truly an essential power skill. So that's my organization I care most about.
I love that. And, you know, it's a very important, no matter what career in life people go into, learning to feel comfortable and being able to speak on whatever they're passionate about is such a tool that will carry them very far in life, for sure.
And to learn young, right? That's where the more, I mean, the research shows, yes, there's some personality traits that it's easier for you to be a magnetic speaker. But if you get that teaching and coaching and practice and repetition of good guided practice, you're going to be more engaging as a communicator.
I got thrown. I was in my early 20s, and I got thrown, or I guess mid to late 20s. I got thrown on the stages with very large audiences, and I was too young to know I was supposed to be afraid. So I
That's
just got up
amazing, though. Good for you. I could see you with some funky, cool glasses, rocking it out in a polka dot dress that's flashy and fun.
yeah, so we don't go away because we are going to circle back and talk about a few more things. But now I would love to introduce our other guest, Janice Porter. Welcome, Janice. How are you?
Thank you so much, Jessica. I'm great, and it's a pleasure to be here.
I love that Janice is a relationship marketing specialist and a podcaster. You know, it's so fun to develop a podcast and get ourselves out there and either share our thoughts or feature and edify guests. It's just a really wonderful experience, I think, for everybody. So, Janice, tell us about how you combine relationship marketing and tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Thank you. So, first of all, I resonated with everything that Tina said, and know that as well as you coming from the heart, that's exactly where I come from in the work that I do, and like to make sure that everybody knows that that's the only way is to communicate from the heart because it's authentic and it works. So, as a relationship marketing specialist, I teach people online how to use LinkedIn as a tool for building new relationships for business and to actually leverage those relationships into business. And I know that Jessica, you do some LinkedIn training as well, and I didn't know that actually before, but we should compare notes sometime. But I think my zone of genius when it comes to LinkedIn is that relationship part. It's the messaging strategies that I believe need to be honed so that we're not pitching people, so that we are in fact getting to know them and listening online, so to speak, to who they are before we do anything else. And then, of course, we want to take those new relationships after we've built rapport and started to see where we might be of service to them. Then we take them offline and start to really get to know each other. And then the second part of the relationship marketing piece for me is nurturing those relationships through an online system of greeting cards and gifts that sends real cards and gifts in the mail. So now I've taken people from their head to their heart by sending them something that will make them feel good with no agenda around that. Just send a card out to give. And then my podcast is called Relationships Rule. There it is. But basically, I interview special guests who believe in the same values as I do. And I can tell I've got two people here that might be good guests on my show because I'm a curious person and I love to find out what other people are about. And as long as it aligns, obviously, with my values, then we can bring some that message over and over in everybody's own unique way to people.
Well, I love that. And I think getting something physical in the mail really has been a way to touch people that you can't. I call us Zoombies, right? We're on Zoom so much or on virtual platforms of all kinds. This is the Be Live platform, but there's so many platforms out there. We just become these just zoned out from real connection. And I think that physical something that that you can send to someone makes a world of difference. And I love that you're a LinkedIn specialist too. I mean, I've done a lot of work with LinkedIn for many, many years, but it's not all I do. And I have to tell you, I've been featured on other people's LinkedIn. They're specialists and they featured me on their podcast and vice versa, because it's about collaboration. I mean, there's like how many people on the planet and so many people who need support. And I just think that when you come from a mindset of abundance and collaboration, that where we have little crossovers, it really doesn't matter. I think sometimes it makes us even more valuable to one another.
I agree. Yeah, I agree, because one of my mentors on LinkedIn, I actually got up the courage to ask her if she would be a guest on my podcast. And she asked me if I would be a guest on her podcast. And that was really special to me. And what we discovered was, I was able to teach her something from my perspective
Yeah.
as well as she was teaching me. So of course, we all bring our own personality to the table, and we're not for everybody, and everybody's not for us. So it works. It totally works.
I've gotten some of the best referrals for speaking gigs for LinkedIn from my other LinkedIn specialists, because something came up and they couldn't go, or they got asked and they weren't able to, make it for some reason, and they introduced me instead. And that's led to some amazing deals and relationships for me. So, we just have to look out for each other, and we can't show up and do all the things. So tell me, between the LinkedIn and the cards, what is something someone can do today or this week or for the upcoming quarter to have success, either on maybe something on LinkedIn and maybe something with the cards? Because sometimes people don't know where to start with the cards and gifts. I know there's services for that, but do I send it to everyone? Do I pick certain people? Like, how do I get a hold of this and do it in a way that's manageable?
So first of all, with LinkedIn, you've probably heard the term social selling. And that is basically what we mean by that, really, is to start, at least in my interpretation, is to build relationships, of course. And so I think the work that you can do on LinkedIn, first of all, is to make sure you have a fully optimized profile, one that gives a great first impression the minute somebody comes to your profile. I call it the above the fold. It shows my age, I know, but it's like an old newspaper term. But basically the first impression. And we don't have even 7 seconds anymore to give a first impression. It's like instant. So what people see is they see your headshot. They see your banner behind your picture. They see your headline. Those things need to really tell your story in a quick and efficient way, an effective way. And then once you have that in order and you want to do some outreach to meet some new people in the lane that you want to meet, so be clear on who your target audience is, then before you do anything to reach out to them, please look at their profile. Please see, number one, if they're active and it's worth reaching out to them, because if they're not active on LinkedIn, they're never going to see your message. And number two, make sure that you let them know in your messaging that you paid attention to what was on their profile. It's just like in person. Tina was talking about in her presentation that when you go to a networking event, it's the same thing. When you go to a link to meet somebody new on LinkedIn, pay attention, listen to who they are, ask questions, let them talk, because we all know nobody cares about you until they know that you care. So that's the kind of thing that I say. So make sure your profile is optimized. And of course, I'm here to help with that. Secondly, when you're doing your outreach, be clear on what kind of filters you want to search for to find the people you want, and then narrow it down, find the first few people that you think might be good connections for you, and reach out saying, hey, I noticed that you and I have 47 common connections. I think it would be great if we could talk. Are you open to that? Or I'm expanding my LinkedIn to Iowa. I see that you have a lot of connections there as you live there. Would you be open to connecting? So pay attention and show something that shows that you are paying attention at the very beginning.
Absolutely. It's always about that common denominator. I totally agree. And now, where do we start with the process for the cards?
The cards, of course.
I don't know about you, but I have massive lists. I mean, we have 30,000 just on our email list, and I have thousands on my social media. And if I were to start to think about sending a physical mail to so many people, that sounds scary and expensive. And where do I start with it? So help us through, Janice.
Okay, so I would start always with the people that I am connecting with and talking to. So if I'm just on a call with you, not on a live presentations across LinkedIn and who knows where else, I would say to you, Jessica, may I get your mailing address? And Tina, may I get your mailing address? And you might look at me funny, but you probably won't, because we have built some rapport over the conversation. But if you do, I just say, hey, I'm a card sender. I love to send cards. Would you mind? And so they'll give me their address quite easily, usually. And so people that I've connected with and made a, built rapport with, I will just send them, it was a nice to meet you, or, something that I can relate from our conversation, to send them a card. I don't ask for anything in return. I'm not sending it out to do anything but give. And really, when you put things out there in the universe, it comes back, tenfold. So it might not come back from that person. It may come from somewhere else, but the law of reciprocity works. The other thing that I do is the people who are already your, clients, you can divide them into lists. You can say your A clients bring you the most referrals, or they pay you the most money. Whatever that is, love on them when they're not expecting it. And then the next group is the people that you're trying to bump up, and make them better clients, or maybe they're past clients that need, you need to shake the tree a little bit. Send them something once in a while. Always, though, send again with love and appreciation for the service that, or the customer, the business that they have given you, that kind of thing. And of course, don't forget friends and family, because they like to hear from you too. But don't do it just obligatory because it's Christmas or because it's, it's a special holiday. Do it. What we say in the company that I'm affiliated with is act on your promptings. You have to feel it. Or maybe I see on Facebook that you just had a baby or a new grandchild, or your dog died, or whatever. Reach out in that regard.
My rule of thumb is I never send clients or business friends or acquaintances or whatever, networking world people, anything during the holidays. I always send it in the spring. So I do a happy spring. I do something, in the fall. I'll do something for just one of those off times. But I feel like they get inundated with friends and family at the holidays, and I'll stand out more, and it'll be more valuable if I do it in a different part of the year. And I feature usually pop-up gratitude spotlights. So like you suggest, watch if something's happening on their social media feed or world, if they were a speaker at a conference or they're promoting a new webinar, pop up and do that surprise video to just do a shout out for them. It really, I've had people call me in tears. I saw that thing, it was tagged, and you just said those nice things about me, and it was so awesome, so it can really make someone's day.
Absolutely. And, you can take a couple of minor holidays that you wouldn't expect people to send cards, but because you're hearing about it at the time, for example, Valentine's Day is a perfect time to send a card to your clients to say, I love my clients, I love on them, or I love my clients. And if you have any Irish in your blood, I'm lucky to have you as my clients for St. Patrick's Day. So those are two sort of set holidays, but they're not expected to be card receiving ones. So.
Yeah, I love that. I want to pop your website up here, since we have gone through some of your tips. So you want to make sure you check out Janice Porter's website. The link will be in the article and in the comments under the videos. You'll be wherever you have found us, and check out Janice Porter. We're so happy to have her here today. Now, why don't you share with us about your amazing cause, unless you have anything else you wanted to talk about for your business?
No, that's fine for now. I could go on and on, of course, but I don't want to bore people. So I invite people, though, to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or to reach out through email. And if you have any LinkedIn questions or questions about card sending, I'm happy to help.
That's wonderful. So can you share with us the cause that touches your heart outside of the world of business?
Yeah. So I have to admit that I haven't been sort of consistent with what my cause was until just recently. And it kind of made me think that this happened for a reason, because I just lost my best friend. And it was sudden. We weren't expecting it at all. And it was very sad. And she is probably the happiest person I've ever known. And she has 2 daughters and loved them to death. And her older daughter she has 3 children. Her older daughter has 3 children. Her younger daughter has 2. But the very first grandchild was a Down syndrome little boy, and his name is Noah. And Noah he's high functioning and he's a very cool kid, and he's now 14. But I used to go every year. I actually just got goosebumps. I used to go every year to the Down syndrome walk here to raise money. My husband and I, we go with Noah's team and all of that. But I remember my friend always saying to me, Noah is here to teach us. He's such a blessing. And from the day he was born, she was like that about him. And I know he's, we all miss her, but he particularly would, because she was just his biggest fan ever. And so I felt that this was the right thing to do. And so that's why I'm sharing it. So the Down syndrome BC or in Canada, is what my cause is. And it will continue to be, because it keeps her alive for me too. I know she would like that.
I love that. And links to all the causes that we share will be found wherever you're seeing this, either under the video or in the article. And we'll also be featuring all of this on our website as well. So we just love the idea of spreading awareness about so many amazing causes in the world and hearing the stories of how they touch other people's lives. We have some extra time with our special guest today. So we're going to talk about books, because I'm a bookaholic. Like, they're all over my world. One of my dreams, which will be coming true, I believe, very soon. The universe is listening. So within the next 3 years, I plan on having this beautiful house on the ocean, and it will have a beautiful library and wall-to-wall bookshelves and lots of old school books. I love trees too. Don't worry, I'll plant trees. I know we can do it all electronically, but I really love to hold a book, to smell a book, to feel a book. And I also have my addiction to audiobooks too. So I'm there. I'm halfway there.
You're ahead of me.
Let's talk about books. So, Tina Bakehouse, if you could share with us books that you love.
Oh my goodness, there's so many. And I'm in the process of actually writing a book, which I'm excited about. Discover the Magnetic Speaker Within, which will explore temperament and authentic versus conditioned self. And what does it take? Like, what are those stories and strategies to be more magnetic, not just with the mindset, but also with the message and mechanics. So with that, when you ask this question, I have so many books that have changed my life, but one that I return to frequently is The Artist's Way. It's a spiritual path to higher creativity. And it's by Julia Cameron. And why I love this book, and she has a series of these, is that in order to function, we as human beings are creators. And in order to function in any capacity as a professional, running our business, marketing our business, but personally in our heart-centered relationships with friends and family, we absolutely need to be creative, and we can get stifled or stuck. And what I found with this beautiful book is how it's basically a self-guided 12-week tour and class in creativity. So it gives good, rich insights as well as tips and tasks to do. What I love is, the whole idea of doing a brain dump in the morning. She calls them morning pages, where you let out 3 pages of just the gunk in your brain, so it's getting clear for the day. And then the other piece is that artist's date. And no matter what walk of life you are in, whether you are a financial planner, a realtor, in my case, a speaking consultant, or in Janice's case, like helping and supporting people with marketing, and same with Jessica, you absolutely need to fuel that inner creativity. And I just feel that this book, it really holds true to that. And she just has a beautiful way of writing. It is very spiritual, and it reminds us of the spiritual being in essence that we are. And I also love Amy Cuddy's Presence. And, she's great in terms of that bold self, putting your bold self forward. And I'm a big fan. As you can see, I have a myriad of books here, but I love anything that taps into psychology, mindset, storytelling. But then also there's a collection from NPR of This I Believe. I don't know if you've ever heard some of those speeches. Check them out. What they are, it's a collection of stories of all sorts of people, ranging from Rodgers and Hammerstein to people you don't know, but they share what they believe. And it was on a radio program started, I believe, in the 40s, and on NPR, and then they published these into a book called This I Believe. But what I love about it, it could be as simple as, be kind to the pizza delivery dude, and you learn something about it, and it gives just a great little nugget in time of what it means to be human.
Cool.
I love that. That's wonderful.
So I gave you a few.
Yes.
I love nonfiction. I also love fiction too, because that, to me, I love just a good story to sit with.
I love to read. It's so much fun. And
Nancy Drew, when I was a kid, I was the sleuth. I wanted to be her, embody her. Anne of Green Gables, all of those.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I also paint and sew and have, I feel like you're right. We need this outlet of super creativity. I'm starting to dabble in songwriting and, some other things. So yeah, I feel like that really does touch a truth chord, right? So don't go away. We're going to come back to you for one last comment before we say goodbye. But first, I want to hear about Janice's books. How about you, Janice?
You say you love reading. I say I love books. I don't get to read them all, but I love buying them. I just love books. So I never really wanted to be an author like everybody around me. You've got to have a book. You've got to have a book. So I had a podcast. That's what I wanted to do. So one of my friends finally talked me into being part of a book, and I wrote it like my chapter in like 2 days. I mean, it's crazy, but I am now a published author. And so it's part of this anthology of 22 women entrepreneurs and history-making couples leaving legacy in network marketing tell all. So everyone has a chapter about their experience in the network marketing industry, and everybody's got good, it's interesting stories to read about other people in my chosen field, and a lot of success stories I could learn from a lot of people. So 2 things now I want to share with you. One is a book I just finished in my book club. That's the only thing that gets me reading, really, is this book club.
I have a book club too. I love it.
It's business book. It's called Big Potential by Sean Aker. You might remember Sean Aker as the Happiness Advantage he wrote. That was his first book. I didn't read that, but this book I think is from, according to the person running our book club, this one is actually better. This book is about transforming the pursuit of success and raising our achievement level, your big potential, when you can collaborate with other people. It's not just you. You can get further and that's my word for next year, collaborate, I think. So collaboration. So really good information in here. And Sean Aker is a professor and researcher at Harvard, or has been. I don't know if he's still there. He might still be there. But there's a lot of interesting studies that were done, and he kind of puts them in language that is enjoyable to read, not just the scientific version of it. So that's really good. But you made me think of 2 other things I would love to share. One is, because I'm a podcaster, and I think part of my leaning towards that was from a book I read. It's in the other room, so I don't have it in front of me, but it's called A Curious Mind. And it was written by Brian Glaser. Brian Glaser is Imagine Entertainment with Ron Howard. They're movie producers and writers and directors, and the 2 of them have done amazing things. I think Splash was their first big movie. But Brian Glaser, did I say Glaser? I think it's Brian Glaser. Anyway, he has always been curious, and when he was a kid, his grandma used to ask her questions all the time. And then he started interviewing people, grown-ups, when he was a teenager. And then when he first went to one of the movie studios, he got a Joe job there on the lot, and started going into the VIPs' offices and interviewing them. And it was fascinating. Just because you're curious, ask questions, you'll learn so much. So that book was kind of a stepping stone for me, A Curious Mind. And the other little piece I want to share is, somebody just said this, and is, for me, children's literature is amazing. And I love reading to my granddaughter. She's not quite there yet. She's 3.5 and she won't sit still long enough. But books like the poems of A.A. Milne, because I'm English. When I was a kid, Winnie the Pooh writer, he wrote all these wonderful poems. And Shel Silverstein, American author, same kind of thing. And there's so many amazing children's stories out there that are fun to read and to share with people. So,
and I highly recommend, when she's old enough, probably right around kindergarten, is the Junie B. Jones collection. It is funny and fun, and my daughter read them out loud to me when she could read 2 and 3 times over from beginning to end, and there's like 30 plus books in the series. Like, we laughed out loud, like hysterically together. It was so much fun. Junie B. Jones.
Junie B. Jones. Junie. Okay, I've never heard of that.
Super series. Totally love that. Right now she's 11, so we're reading Harry Potter, of course.
Yes. Now, one other age.
Yeah,
I have to throw in is Roald Dahl. So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach. Those books were made for read a chapter, leave the kids hanging because you won't read the next chapter till tomorrow night. So go to sleep now.
She doesn't read. I don't read to her. She reads to me and does all.
That's wonderful now. Yeah,
she's 11 and she does all the voices. And what we're doing is we're reading a book and then having a movie party, because she hasn't seen all the movies either. She's 11, so she was too young before. So we're reading the book and then having a movie party, and it's a lot of fun. So I love that. Beautiful. All right, everyone. So this is Profound Professionals interview series. So if you're an amazing industry expert and leader on a subject, or have passion about something that you feel like you could share and bring value to the world, or you know someone that should, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show. But before we say goodbye, we're going to get Tina and Janice to share one last golden nugget. We've been squeezing them for all they've got tonight. So Tina, what will you give us? What can you leave us with tonight?
Well, Janice made me think about what my word is for 2023. I always think that's a fun exercise. And for me, it's blossom. I'm going to be blooming and blossoming. And I would say, when it comes to being magnetic and being that effective speaker, because we all have that ability, it's first analyzing with authenticity and being open to feedback. For feedback is neutral. It's tuning into the facts. And then when you are going out into the world and you have content, crafting it from the heart and putting forth that energy that is appropriate, and have the mindset that is super confident and strategize to perfect that performance. Because every communication, you cannot not communicate. People tune into how you respond to other people's posts, what kinds of pictures and what kinds of ways of being that you are. And so remember that trueness comes from here, the heart, and have that appropriate energy and really just be in your being, and note that it takes analysis, it takes the work, and then it takes the doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'll remind you, when Janice shared her word as collaboration, that also can mean outsourcing. So it does take the doing, but you don't have to be the one doing.
That's a great point.
Yes. I always say, you want to grow from seed to orchard, but you cannot tend an orchard or scale that large with your own 2 hands, or make that kind of powerful impact and touch that many lives. So if you think of every little blossom on every tree of a massive orchard, right? You need a team for that. And there's still a way to stay. I was listening to you about your posting, Tina. There's still a way to stay very authentic and very custom and very you, and still outsource that creation. So just imagine one example that just came to my mind that I've never done before, and we're going to start doing it immediately. When you were speaking, because sometimes those thoughts are a gift, right? When you're hearing and inspired by someone else, wouldn't it be wonderful? I tell my clients all the time, use a service like otter.ai or something like that, and record yourself. And when you're going for your walk or doing your exercise or whatever, just talk, because then your assistants can build articles with that and other things. But you know what else they could build? It just occurred to me. Your voice could be there talking about something you're really passionate about, making that point for just a minute or two. And then a visual video could be put with the audio of your voice. And all you had to do is send that off to your VAs, or your virtual assistant team, your outsource team, which is part of what I'm here for. So call us, but you can have them create that. And how beautiful and personal would that be? So just keep thinking outside of the box on how to do things. Janice is going to share with us one last thing before we say goodbye. So we're getting all the goods tonight.
Now you may be one more, but okay. So I'm going to cheat and just give you one quick one on LinkedIn, and that is just to piggyback on what you said. When you're sending a message to somebody on LinkedIn, disrupt the norm. Send an audio message or a video message where you'll stand out from all the other ones that are there. So that's one thing. But the thing I wanted to share with you to leave you with is, please know that if you want to reach out to me, I'll let you send a free card to anybody that you want to. And why I say that is because I want you to think about who needs to hear from me today. If you could send one card a day and change somebody's life, you would be amazed at how many people pick up the phone or send a text message and say, you have no idea that card arrived just when I needed it. So don't think twice about it. Just who needs to hear from me today, and have that mechanism to be able to act on your prompting right there on your phone or on your computer. And I'm willing to give you that option to try it out.
I love it.
Wonderful. That is awesome. I think we did great work tonight, Tina and Janice, and I hope that you who watch with us enjoyed this, and you'll be kind and share it with others and tell us what your thoughts are. Reach out to us. We'll make sure all the ways to reach Janice and Tina and all of the different things they shared will be available for you. Again, I'm Jessica Koch. This is Profound Professionals, and I always love to say, be kind to yourself and be kind to one another. All right, until the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.